Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? I'm trying a different music track today because despite the one that I keep using being told that I can use it for Twitch and YouTube, I keep getting saying that it's copyrighted and it shouldn't be used. So I am trying World of Warcraft soundtracks today. Hopefully I won't have that same problem. So apologies if audio was muted for some of the playbacks. So, where are we so far? So we have written 3 chapters so far. We have had our heroes find the device. They've activated it, gone through. And now they've been captured by soldiers. Or at least when it ended, they had the soldiers there. So the only things that I have done since the document is try and be 2 scenes ahead. So today's scene is going to be a little bit different. So what we've done so far is that we have really centered on the main characters. So, you know, it's been 3 chapters, but pretty much it's been following them continuously. We're going to cut away now just to give a bit of a view of the wider world. So we've heard a lot of talk about Lord Quentin. So he is going to be, we're going to do his viewpoint today. So this could be a quick chapter. It's an interlude. So I'm gonna start making notes here. These are typically chapters that I may decide to cut when I came to a second draft. I would say it's a world building chapter. Because really what it's trying to do is give us a bit of sense of the world. What we need to establish is that he has soldiers, because he's going to open another portal, and then they're going to start. He's going to start sending soldiers through for resources to gather wealth. So the things that we need to establish, making notes on the side here if you can see. Establish his lack of wealth, his motivations. And we also need to establish, so lack of wealth, his motivations, and what was the other thing we need to establish? I just suddenly had World of Warcraft music came on and it just completely threw me. Right, we're seeing his motivations. He has relationship to the characters. Now this could be a fun character to write. Sometimes I like writing bad character, not bad as in like badly written, but bad as in evil characters, because we can kind of get a little bit of depth there. So I'm going to jump straight into this. May add things here. This is not a bad music actually for. Right, we're gonna ask. He's gonna be asking. He's like, he's second, like he's underling. We need to. I'm tempted to kind of. We've gone for like a kind of Celtic, Scottish vibe with this world, so I'm tempted to call him somebody Mook, somebody. Slip it in with everything. I don't want to use D because we've got Drummond and that. So I'm thinking of a different name. MacArthur. Ed Quentin side. Is this all really necessary? I want to say it's not scribe. It is the, what would we call him? Auditor, Janet, and I'm trying to think of a good word for. I am looking up words. Auditor. An accountant. I'm looking up on a thesaurus at this moment in time. Am I even? I'm in the starting thing. I'm not even in the live stream. Sorry about that. There we go. You can tell it's Friday. You can see that a little bit better now, can't you? Oh dear. What I've done is on my screen. I haven't even switched the light on. I am a complete mess today. So I've got my screen in front of me here, and I have a second screen there. And the problem was that I didn't like to do certain things because it would pop up. Literally, I've got screen capture on, as you can see. So I've moved these things across to this screen, and as a result, this screen is completely cluttered with about 1,000,001 things. So, why is the... Oh no, the mic is on. Oh god, I'm having a day today. It's a ledger... Actuary, I like that word. Let me just... What I sometimes do is I go, right, I will always sometimes check the definition. Because sometimes I go, oh, person who compiles an analysis uses them to calculate insurance risks and premiums. He's not really doing accountancy, but that's fine. Well, no, actuary will work. Actuary will work. So there we go. Up there. Oh, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons today. Oh. You ever have one of those days where it just all goes wrong? So what we're trying to establish here is that it's not been a good summer. The harvests have been bad. It's going to be a tough winter. I'm going to cut that a bit out because he's going to say things there. So Laird Quentin side. Is this all really necessary? Asked MacArthur. The actuary bowed low, still offering the book. I merely wish my Laird to know the risks and hardships we face in the months ahead. So I've almost got this image of him sort of sat on a throne with one foot up, one leg up over the armrest. Should we do that? Yeah, let's have fun with it. It's not really a throne, is it? I'm going to write some of this all wrong, so I almost want to say he's sat on his throne in his throne room, but he's not on a throne, so I'm changing this. So let's write this. Okay, sometimes what to do is when this is, just turn the music, turning down the music a little bit. Oh. Right. He's not a king though, so let's change this. Trying to think of Celtic imagery. I'm thinking sort of like this. Pull back rows. So this is the back. This. Okay, I'm giving a little bit of world here. So this finest examples of craftsmen of this side of the. I'm going to say the 3 Cs. I was going to say 7 Cs, but I think that's from something else. So I do not know. 3 Cs would be caps, probably. Capitals. 3 Cs. I know nothing about this, right? So I do not know what is the 3 Cs. It just gives it a bit of flavour. I'm not intending to dive into it, but it's, it's just if you think, well, oh, it was the finest, they're in London. Oh, it's the finest craft this south of Marylebone. Doesn't mean anything. It just gives it a little bit of flavour. Write it and then there's the thing. So I'm going to write this badly. Now this I think is a clunky sentence. I'm trying to think. So I'm trying to get a little bit of humour in here. I'm trying to what I'm trying to do is kind of irreverence in some ways. He's not satisfied. You get that impression. Many had called it one of the finest examples of craftsmanship this side of the 3Cs. See, this is why you always read stuff back. Those people obviously didn't have to sit on it. Quentin swore that his grandfather must have been unable to feel his bottom because anyone who sat on it for more than 10 minutes was went numb. I need to kind of you can see what I'm trying to do. Sometimes when it's must have been numb below the waist. Because anyone who sat for more than 10 was unable to. Now, question here. This is a character. Is it feel their own bottom or feel their own arse? I don't know the character well enough, but sometimes this is how sometimes you can convey character by these choice of words. So I'm gonna put arse because I think he's a little bit. Returning it to the present. So, they won't have guns, so I can't say shoot. So, again, grouse. It's the idea of the Scottish. It's like sometimes when you're writing something, what you want to do is instead of give everything to people kind of directly, sometimes you want to do it. You want to punch them in the face and say, this is this world. Sometimes what you do is you give them almost little pointers and let them fill in the gaps. So things like MacArthur, grouse, clanlands, it's giving this impression so that their mental imagery when they're conjuring up your world kind of matches it matches what what you've got in your head. One of the best examples of this, I think, is if you've read any Harry Potter, the description of Diagon Alley. Because I don't know, I haven't taken it apart and analysed it. I like Harry Potter. I'm not so keen on J.K. Rowling these days. But when the movies first came out, everybody who'd read the book said, do you know what? Diagon Alley matches exactly how I imagined it in my head. So, which was very interesting because often people view it differently. So sometimes these little pointers, you're slowly world building without kind of being direct. I'm giving all this Scottish vibe. You know, I expect some people, if I then said he was wearing a kilt, people wouldn't be surprised. Right, we're returning, and so what we've done is we give a little bit of context, so we sort of drift out a little bit and we drift back in. Now, I am changing my mental image. My mental image is, when we first came to it, I said like Farquhar, and since then I've had Farquhar from Shrek in my head as kind of a image. We said this is going to be sort of John Malkovich, but I'm going to do this John Malkovich done up more as a kind of Scottish clansman. So So instead of saying he had braided beard, I've just said he's playing with a braid of his. I'm trying to. The summer was unusually wet. Do I need to put that in there? I don't know. Do I need? It's quite simple, my lady. MacArthur said. We either buy food or we eat less this winter. Maybe I'll put that. So I'm saying they had better yields in the south. So, but it's- So I'm going to go into this money thing. This is where I'm kind of going. Establishing his lack of wealth. So what I'm thinking in my head here is I want to establish he hasn't got great land. I nearly want to write it as if he had money to spare, but I brewed as if. Yeah. No, so he had been. He had been content to leave it to the poachers and reprobates he'd expelled from the estate. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make it so that our heroes have been able to uh, um, kind of figure out an existence within the world, by poaching and gathering and things like that. And I've given an excuse as to why that's been allowed to happen. And I've already kind of put that threat in there, that conflict, that basically because of the lack of wealth, because of the bad harvest, they're going to have to do that. Now, we know, because if those of you know where the story's going, that this is going to become irrelevant. But it doesn't mean that we can't give the readers, at this stage, increase the threat. We're gonna kind of pull the rug out of them from under them a little bit when things start going. But you know, we know they've just been captured, and he's talking about hanging poachers. So it's, you know, will they hang? Will they not? It's engaging the reader. I'm having one of those days when I can't spell. It's weird. I find like sometimes when I have things as a different, like a different font or a larger font, words don't look correct to me, and so I look at them and go, "That doesn't look right." They're perfectly fine. So we said when we put this together, we said that they had serfs, but the serfs could freely move around because we didn't want to kind of get it into kind of like a go slavery angle. That's it. Existing ranks. Don't like that, but I'm gonna let it flow. Oh look, good music for a Scottish thing. No additional labour or no additional labour. So he said, unless we receive a sudden windfall. Get the skill to take apprentices from our existing ranks. I don't know, the clan. What would we call a small group of troops? Like a platoon? Just gonna get away with soldiers for now. We might change something better. Right, so we're still establishing this kind of wealth and things like that. But I'm using it to kind of establish the troops as well here, so... So, we are now introducing the soldiers, and we're just introducing the situation that's happened. So I need to put a description in somewhere, but I'm gonna let... I will fit it in afterwards. So, okay, let's read this back because he's about to do this whole stuff with the orb and, like, recount what's happened. So, I'm going to read it out loud. Good way to kind of look for any problems. Led Quentin sighed. Is this all really necessary? He asked MacArthur. The actuary bowed low, still offering the book. I merely wish my lad to know the risks and hardships we face in the months ahead. Quentin sat on the uncomfortable seat at the top of his audience room. His grandfather had commissioned it when they'd remodelled the estate, giving it the air to anyone visiting of approaching a king on their throne. It was... of approaching a king on their throne. It was raised, sat on a platform at one end of the huge stained... at one end of the Great Hall. Great Hall's a good word. Under this huge stained glass window. The chair itself had been made by some of the finest craftsmen in the Clanlands. The handles were a couple of snakes intertwined, and the tall back rose to depict a bear on its hind legs. The legs were carved to resemble tree roots. Many had called it one of the finest examples of craftsmanship this side of the three seas. Those people obviously didn't have to sit on it. Quentin swore that his father must have been numb below the waist because anyone who sat on it for more than 10 minutes was unable to feel their own arse. He sat, one leg cocked over one of the arms, wishing for MacArthur to just hurry up so he could go out on a grouse hunt. I want solutions, not problems, MacArthur, he said, playing with the braid of his beard. I've thought of a problem, but I will come back to it in a minute. It's quite simple, my lad, MacArthur said. We either buy food or we eat less this winter. The summer had been unusually wet, and the yield of crops the worst in living memory. Buy? Quentin scoffed. As if you only could find any laird round here with food to spare. They had better yields in the south, but the demand means that prices are high. Quentin did not have money to spare. As the estates went, his was one of the poorest. He had a bloody great mountain range through the centre of his estate, and the land on the other side was practically unfarmable. He'd been content to leave it to the poachers and reprobates he'd expelled from the estate. But that might have to change. Increase the patrols, he said absently, thinking how he was going to catch himself a fine grouse this afternoon. This is the problem. Hang any poachers. Very good. And the existing food supplies? Start rationing, he said with a sigh. The serfs wouldn't like it, but they were free to leave if they wanted. He doubted they'd find any estate within 100 miles that would be any different. No additional labour also. Unless we receive the sudden windfall, we get the skilled to take apprentices from our existing ranks. Very good, said MacArthur. And one last thing. The soldiers. What does Freeman want now? Last month he wanted horses. Last year, MacArthur corrected. He asked the summer before last. Whenever, whatever. What does he want now? A number of swords are broken in training. Our blacksmith lacks the iron with which to fashion replacements. Can't they use pikes and bows? Why does everyone need a sword these days? They were interrupted by the far doors opening and a man dressed in chainmail striding into the hall. Ah, Freeman, Quentin called out. Tell me why you need swords when you have pikes and bows. Can't use either of those in close range combat, the man replied without stopping to think. Quentin looked at MacArthur. Authorise the purchase of iron, then he set aside, defeated. So that works. I like that so far. We need to describe Freeman, and where do we put that in? So, oh, and also I found a problem. So, this is about the grouse shoot. When we left the last scene, it was night time. So, unless it's moved to the next day, the way I'm going to do this, change it from this afternoon to tomorrow. So that's what we do is, where was the other one? One of them. I can't see where it is. Oh, there we go. That's what we want. He sat one leg kilt to him, wishing for MacArthur to hurry up. So he could get to bed. I say weekly because he's like looking forward to it. So there we go. With two little bits, we've solved our problem and changed the time of day from like a morning to a night time. So, little things to notice, like where we were describing, he had a bloody great mountain range, right? What we're doing there is through third person limited, we're allowing... Joe Abercrombie's a really good example of this. It's that they alter their writing depending on the point of view. So if I was writing somebody who was maybe like a religious person, it would be full of things that would be like lacking swearing, maybe a lot of religious imagery and things like that. So when you do write these scenes, try and get into a little bit of character. So like little things like, didn't anyone bloody knock these days? It's again that same kind of really kind of that conveys a little bit of, it helps convey Quentin's character. I am quickly looking up something that I want to write, a word, and I don't know if it's the right definition. Okay, it is, yeah, it's Dias is the one I was looking at. We've already established that Freeman is with the soldiers. We kind of, like, from that, what does Freeman want? Wearing chainmail. So I'm just working out how to. I'm thinking how I'm gonna get this in. Might want to double the order, Freeman said. That's another little kind of trick for character creation. If you want names that are a little bit different. So like you got Quentine. In the reader's mind, it's kind of got that familiarity, but it's also a little bit unique on the page. That was a typo. Again, write it wrong. Don't type it wrong. Write it wrong. I'm trying to put a bit of description of Freeman in there. Second generation head of. Again, little thing I will check. Sometimes I'll leave this to afterwards, but Googling size of a troop. Oh, okay. A troop is what's smaller than a troop? So I'm looking at something that's army units and sizes. Okay, squad is lower. Okay. I need him to have... He's a small thing, but I need him to have enough troops to actually go in and do some damage. So 30 men might seem excessive when no lairds had attacked each other in... I need to start... over 13 years, but you never knew when the uneasy priest might break, especially after a battle. Kind of do that. And a little bit of punctuation. The way that I tend to work with punctuation is, other than like getting the rules wrong all the time, I tend to think of the breath. It's a really handy way to think of it. So I like read it, act it out loud. Imagine somebody narrating it. So 30 men might seem excessive when no lairds of the clanlands attacked each other in over 30 years, right? I don't want to take a breath thing. But you never knew when the uneasy peace might break. Slightly longer pause. Right, then you'd either use a full stop or a semicolon. Especially after a bad summer. I don't want it to be... But you never knew when the uneasy peace might break. Especially after a bad summer. You want it to be... But you never knew when the uneasy peace might break. Especially after a... Does that make sense? There's a slightly different pause in there. It works in my head. I'm probably the only person. Okay, so we've done a little bit of character development there. Now, bear in mind, I knew nothing about Freeman until I wrote him. Okay. So what I've done is I like the idea, I like the joke, if you like. It started with the joke, where it's that usual thing of, well, why can't they do this? And they ask somebody and get like that straight answer back. It's kind of a comedic thing. So I like the idea that literally he's striding into the room and he's like, why can't you use pikes and bows? Putting him on the spot. And he's like, well, obviously. They can't use them in close range combat. It's got an answer to it. So likewise, he was similar age to Quentin, but unlike him, had cropped his beard, grey beard and hair close to his head. I don't know if close to his head is close to his face, but your hair wouldn't be close to your face. Less for an enemy to tug on, he said when Quentin... I like that he has answers. Now, we're establishing him as an authority. We're establishing him as competent, which is going to be good because when things go to shit later on, it's going to be more of a shock because Freeman we're establishing him as capable. So we are now moving on to kind of establishing the orb and coming back in the story. Are you winning, son? I'm doing all right. Yes, thank you, Zymos. Getting there. So we're on chapter 4 at the moment. And it's going pretty smoothly today. So MacArthur took several steps back. So one of the things I like to do is, like, instead of doing something like that, where I'm like, what is that? I tend to... Another way to do it is... doing like that. And the reason I put like even that pointing at the orb as if it wasn't. So myself, what's the plot about? Right, we have got a video up which will explain the plot if you need it, but I will give you a rundown. So we built this story up over several live streams. The story is that our group of heroes, they're kind of outcasts. They're living off the land, and they work for a professor, or doing a bit of digging in the bog, and they're digging up like these weird bits of metal. And what they don't know is that their civilization used to be part of it used to be a colony of a bigger, I think Star Trek like thing, society. But what they didn't know was that their warp drive, which basically opened wormholes and closed wormholes, like it tore holes in the fabric of space when they used it. And what happened was like this, we've got, in fact, I've got the story here. So here we go. Put it on there. So here we go. Years ago, an advanced civilization set up a colony on a planet. They used wormhole technology to travel great distances, which temporarily tears holes in the fabric of space. One of these tears opened a portal to another realm filled with demonic alien creatures. They nearly wiped out the entire civilization, having to destroy their fast and light capability, and as such, the colony forgot about their heritage over thousands of years. Flash forward to now. This might be a mix of medieval fantasy, which we're kind of doing now, with kind of a Scottish vibe, and a weird Western vibe. So an archaeologist finds the remains of a wormhole technology and brings it to the colony's aristocrats. We've changed this a little bit. We're doing that scene now that basically they found it and they're bringing it, but it's not the archaeologist. They find it can open holes in space to other realms, which we did in the last chapter yesterday, and use this to send their troops through to steal riches and natural resources, which is why I'm really stressing in this chapter, like, oh, the Carvest has been bad, thing's a thing. Why does he want iron for swords. It also gives people strange magical abilities. It's the case that it was in that exploded in chapter 1 or 2 that does that, because we don't want everybody to get magic. We only want our heroes to get magic. A strange man turns up who is part of the old advanced civilization. This is actually, we've merged him with the archaeologist now, and has knowledge of the colony does not. He warns them not to open portals, but they expel him from the city. We said estates now to the farm, to like the farms, and continue to open the portals. So that bit where we've done about the ridge and where the outcasts are and things like that, that's kind of taken over from that. As a result, the army, which is what we're just writing about now, goes into a realm where the big bad is waiting. They wipe them out, and our big bad streams through. So this is why we're establishing like the army and things like that at the moment. The big bad might be conscripting people themselves, their own first draft, but there needs to be a steep price to pay. The aristocrats lock up the cities and abandon their villages. The strange man recruits the local villagers, that are our heroes, to help defend the locals. He needs them to go through the latest portal and destroy it. They do this, but in doing so, the portal closes behind them and they get trapped in this new world. So they need to find a way back, save their world, and put an end to the big bad. That's the basic story. So we are very early on in it, and we are just writing. Today's thing is just literally, we are about to bring the device to the, well, we literally are bringing the device to the aristocrat, which is Lord Quentin. So what he says is that type. I see no reason why this couldn't be in WH40K, so a Warhammer 40K setting. It could, but Warhammer 40K is copyright, unfortunately. So so we're writing, you know, like any story, you could do it if you do Warhammer 40K, you could put it in that. You could do it as fan fiction and things like that. But because of the way we're presenting this and doing this, we want to avoid copyright issues, but you could kind of do it in Warhammer 40k, definitely. I think it's the source of the strange light. License. Well, the way they work with their novels is basically Games Workshop is. I think they're better than they used to be, but they actually used to be terrible to work with. I did a little bit of promotional work with them years and years ago, and they had such tight control over their IP that it was, you know, and all we were doing was, I was doing then, was just writing about their IP, not even like creating stuff in it. So the way they do is they will commission authors to write licensed stuff, and they will publish it themselves. Several of my friends have done novels for them. I don't know 40k. I don't know 40k well enough that I would ever take that on. Nothing against it. It was just, for some reason, it was something that passed me by. So a lot of my friends absolutely love it, and I probably would have done if I'd got into it when I was younger, but for some reason I just never did. So I think even if I was potentially offered a commercial contract, I might not take it. I don't know. It depends. If I needed the money, maybe, but I don't like the fanfic. If you like the fan fiction that I would do, fan fiction, but the licensed properties that I would write about, if they came to me, probably 3. I would do Star Wars at a drop of a hat. One of my friends is writing a Star Wars novel right now for them, and I've literally said to him, I am so jealous, absolutely jealous. So I mean, I remember when we used to, you know, talk about projects and all that years ago. And as I say, he's now writing. He was gonna, I think he was writing something for the Mandalorian. But they've. He doesn't tell me anything, but they changed something, so they're no longer. They scrapped it, and he's writing something different for Star Wars now. I'd also do Warcraft. Although I have to admit, the lore, as much as I know a lot of it, the lore frightens me. But I would do a Warcraft novel. Although the way I would do Warcraft is that some of their early novels was like, we need to make it equal amounts Horde and Alliance, and I just think they need to get away from that. Just tell a good story rather than try and make it like 2 stories telling exactly the same thing, but one Horde, one Alliance. And G.I. Joe is the other one I would do, a drop of a hat. But this is original, so the idea behind it is also because of some of the worlds they're going to go into is like Weird Western. They're not commercial, so there is no way I could really sell this as a commercial project. It's not intended to be a commercial project. It's meant to be more of an exercise in writing and a bit of fun, really. It's easy to write Warcraft. The end of every sentence retcons the beginning of it. Do you know, I don't know the people who write on Warcraft, but I do get the impression, hearing through the grapevine, that sometimes you need to change your lore to fit the gameplay, and I understand that. But unfortunately, they didn't have senior creative people dealing with the story. They didn't have writers in senior positions to dictate the story. So Steve Denuza is in charge now, and I've heard he's got a lot of work trying to fix a lot of problems that were created by Metzen. You know, but it is what it is, I suppose. So where were we? Freeman. We think it's the source that streamed, don't we? It's so small. So, okay. Hello, Ergy. How are you? Keeping well? I can't spell emanating. Nearly everyone on the estate had seen the light emanating from the other side of the mountain. Good, you? Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm not too bad. We were just talking about Warcraft and how it retcons everything. Someone come rushing to... Oof, Wilco, you still playing a lot? Or I haven't been playing at the moment. I must admit, I need to go on there like tomorrow. I've been busy during the week, so at the moment, had a little break playing after my holiday. Had a little break playing Minecraft with friends. I've had a busy couple of weeks, and so I haven't been on then. I've been playing Minecraft, and then I realised that Fortnite Battle Pass finishes on Sunday, and I paid for it, and I have not complete the Battle Pass. So that's my priority over the weekend. I'm going to try and get that done before. I've only got 50 levels to do. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But I do also need to go into Warcraft because I need to check all my mailboxes. So it's Minecraft. Yeah, I've been having fun with. I've been having fun with Minecraft actually. I didn't play it. Played it when it first came out, and I was like, ugh. But we've got with a group of friends. We got a little SMP server, and it's just for fun. So we've like got we've not got real mods as such, but you know we can swap to personal creative mode if we want to, and we basically the idea is there's 4 of us, and we split the world literally into quarters, and you've got your quarter, and you can do whatever the hell you like. You know, it's basically it's for you to do what you want. You know, somebody's building a city, like a modern day city. Another person is building redstone stuff, and they're having fun with that. I'm building a railroad. Yeah, it is a lot of fun because everybody gets to do their own thing, but we're trying to like in the center of the city, like where we spawned is right next to a village. So the village is kind of like our hub that we all share, and so we've kind of built some shared areas there. But we all started like really close together, and we're kind of like, oh, I need a bit of space. I'm going like 3,000 blocks. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm currently in that because I can play it on the iPad. Um, yeah, I get confused by all the Nintendo blocks. Yeah, I do as well. I haven't played it for ages, but um, I just like the exploration part of it. So yeah, literally, I can play it on the iPad. So literally, one of the areas I've got that's really off far to the north, or no, south, east. I don't know. I get confused on the directions on it. But off like I've built like this straight road and a straight railroad, like literally to kind of like on the edge of my quarter, along the edges of my quarter. And one of those goes into like literally you go along and it suddenly turns to like all snow and ice, and it's like that for miles, and I love it. So what I've done is I've started building this massive wall. I did found a YouTube tutorial, so literally I'm kind of, and so it looks like Game of Thrones, you know, the wall there. And I've started all Ice Crown. It looks a bit like Ice Crown as well, but it looks awesome. So I'm not going to build anything else there other than this wall. But then because of the way I keep the road and the railroad at the same height, so literally they go into the ground just there. So literally, the idea is that as if you're on the little mini railroad, and this thing goes for like 10,000 blocks now, you'll literally see the snow approaching, and then this massive wall, and then you'll kind of go underneath it, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, but I do need to do some Warcraft. I keep meaning to try and do some. Is there a raid this Sunday, or is the numbers looking bad? Although I have to admit, this Sunday it's the Fortnite event at 8 o'clock my time. Some had come rushing to Quentin claim them. He... Yeah, literally, I was about to. I saw last week that there was I was literally like, oh crap, because something happened and I was like, had to dash out, and I was like, oh crap. If the raid, I haven't got my laptop with me, and was about to kind of like, oh, do I not do it, and then thing, but I ended up, then I saw the note. A lot of people quit either because they're fed up with the game or the shit going on with Blizz. I literally have just been taking a little bit of a break, and I've got out the habit of logging in, and I've had a busy couple of weeks, so I haven't had sort of time to just, log in and do my dailies and things like that. So I feel a little bit behind, but I don't know. I'll see how I get on tomorrow. The only thing, as I say, is the Fortnite end of season event is at 9 o'clock on Sunday. So what I might do is get things together tomorrow and then be back the following Sunday. I don't know. Yeah. It's a shame. All the stuff that's happened is such a shame. That's why I think, okay. Yeah, I do want to, I do, because I haven't killed Sylvanas yet, and I want to do that. But I felt like when everything happened, I was like, oh, I feel a bit icky about it. I was trying to do stuff, and like it wasn't just what happened at Blizzard, although obviously that was really bad. But I just saw like all the YouTubers I like to watch. Yeah, I saw that was when I was on holiday, so that was well, I wasn't necessarily on holiday. I was away teaching people how to fight with swords, but yeah, I was like, oh, like all my favorite YouTube, I'm no longer streaming Blizzard games. I'm no longer doing Warcraft. And it just started getting me down a little bit. And I can understand why. They had their own choices and all that. And so it was just like, okay, just have a little break. Like I was going away, so have a little break. And then I just got with wasn't the Archivist Codex, the other one. I'd managed to get that to do that rep, and so I'd unlocked it. So I felt like I'd just done the campaign as well. So I felt like I was like, oh, I've caught up. I've done everything. Um, yeah, I will be back. I definitely will be back. I do love Warcraft. As I say, it's just like I felt like with everything going on at the time, it was like, look, if I don't take, just like when my friend said, "Oh, let's play some Minecraft," I was like, "Do you know what? I really fancy doing that more than I do playing Warcraft at the moment. So better to take a little break from Warcraft and then come back." And I've tried Final Fantasy, and I just didn't get on with it. Maybe I didn't give it a fair trial, but it just didn't work for me. I had fun with the new patch. I loved the Covenant campaign. I thought the Covenant campaign was brilliant. Like each week was epic. Absolutely loved that. Best thing they've done in ages. I absolutely loved it. But I kind of was trying to put. I mean, I was trying to push myself to get gear and get good because I always feel like I'm behind the curve in Warcraft. Um, so I probably burnt myself out a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, completely agree. Yeah, I just have things on, like, literally. I don't this week, but I've had things on Sundays. Well, no, I do this Sunday because it's bloody. Well, I've just had various things on Sundays. So. Yeah, I tried Final Fantasy for the third time. First two times I was so annoyed with the game. I wasn't so annoyed, but it reminded me like Guild Wars 2. You know, fun for what it was, and then, but it just doesn't compare to. I like that kind of quirky humor that's kind of in Warcraft. I've heard that the storyline is fantastic. Everybody has said the story is fantastic. So I forget what class I played, but I was literally in the desert in this, like, when I started, I was in the desert at this kind of city palace, and I don't know, it just didn't. I was like, nah, it just feels like yet another MMO. Um, so I may give it another try. I don't think I got very far. I was only like level 7 or something. So, and I think I don't know which server I'm. Cool. I do like good story. I may give it another go. As I say, I wasn't intending to really break from Warcraft, but as I say, it was just. I also, as I say, the other thing I had was my computer blew up in end of was it end of July, beginning of July. So I'd been on the laptop and literally it made it difficult. Whereas normally, if I've got the desktop during the day, I can kind of just dip in and out. Whereas with the laptop, it's kind of you have to shut everything down to give enough resources to kind of everything. Yeah, on Odin. Okay, I will. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing. Literally, get Fortnite done. It's priority number one. Do a bit more Minecraft of my wall. Get that going. But I can dip in and I like that. Literally, if I'm around my friends and we're just sat on the sofa and nothing's happening, just do it on the iPad. Such a good game for iPad. Unbelievable how good that game works on iPad. Best iPad game I've ever played. Or tablet game. Um, and then it's back to Warcraft because I want to get all the empowered conduits and things like that. I need to do a bit of catching up. Oh, right, where was I? Sorry, but well, we do have the thing. This is the idea behind it, is to chat about stuff. Sounds good. I actually played a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon on my tablet. Oh, is that any good? I love Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's so old school. I remember Theme Park. Theme Park 1 and 2 were fantastic, and then they did this 3D became this really big thing instead of isometric, and they tried to make uh, Theme Park 3 3D, and it was no, 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 no. By all means, this is what this thing is for. It's for chatting and things, and just shooting the shit and things like that. I love Roller Coaster Tycoon. I might give that a go then if it's good. If it's good to play, because the problem is that I play some games on phone and they're just never as good. Right. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you play games for hours. Some what I like about Minecraft on the iPad is that I feel like I can play the game. So you're writing a web series. Yeah, so the basic idea behind this um is that with a lot of professional writing is that you think of your favorite books. Wouldn't it be great if you could see what they were like early on? And so the idea behind this is to kind of show the actual writing. So the first draft is always rubbish. Published books go through multiple revisions by the author, beta readers, rewrites, agent edits, editor edits, copywriting. They go through so many. So you only get to see the polished product, and I thought that it would be kind of good for a bit of content was to show how first drafts get written, what decisions go into making them, and why people make the decisions they do. So it's kind of me writing, but chatting to people, them asking questions, like talking about story, talking about whatever, and kind of coming up with the first draft. And then so I do the live stream, and then I put it to YouTube, and the story goes to the website, so you can read it for free. Initial plan is, and this is why I've been so busy, is because I've been doing this in another YouTube series, and the idea is to eventually put 2 videos out a week, one at the beginning of week for one project, one at the end of the week for the other project. But I wanted to kind of get the ball rolling, so I literally have got 2 weeks where every weekday I am producing a video, doing a live stream, uploading that live stream, promoting it, doing all the social media related to it, putting the text up onto the website. So it's just like literally been full stop. I've been doing that every weekday, so I'm a little bit, I mean, I knew I'd be pretty burnt out by it, but it just takes like all of my time at the moment. So next week's a bit easier because one of the series goes to weekly next week, and this I'll be doing it every day from 3 o'clock, 1 chapter a day, or a week, Monday to Friday, and then after that it'll be once a week. So we've got, the idea is that it kind of builds enough of a story to thing. So each chapter is only about 1,000 words, 1,500, 2,000 max, around that sort of thing. So. You need any help with social media related stuff? I used to be a social media community marketing thing. Oh, interesting. I'm teaching myself social media. I'm not too bad. I kind of do it as a bit of a habit. So, like, literally, like, a lot of my sword stuff goes onto Instagram. I wanted to kind of do, because like, literally nowadays being a writer, you have to do all your own marketing. So my theory has always been, while you are writing stuff, learn it, build up like your following, and then kind of learn from the mistakes, so that because what I say happened to a lot of writers is they have their first book out and they go, oh god, I've got to do social media now, and I need to learn how to do these things, and that's too late. So the idea is for me, and this is part of why doing this, is to do some YouTube content. I'm not doing it expecting, even with the Twitch stream, like 2, 3, 4 viewers. That's great. I'm happy with that. Because the idea is that by the time I've got something I maybe want to push, that I've kind of built up that following. So I'm doing stuff like, you know, thinking of basically the live stream and the videos as like my pillar content, and then using other social media to kind of promote it, but cross promote as well, if that makes sense. So literally, excuse me, I'm not looking to do anything to like commercial with this story at all. It will sit on the website. It will never be. It's still. I'm literally picking things that are not commercial. So you know, no publisher is ever going to say, "Damn, I wish we published that." But using it to drive attention, if you know. So like literally with one of the series I do is on like productivity for writers, like how to, you know, it's all about productivity systems but purely focused on writing. And then there's this which shows, look, actually I do some reading. To be honest, I love reading. This is very interesting, seeing the process and research that goes into it. Yeah, and the idea is people kind of saying, well, why did you do that? So you might look at it and like, you know, put here, why are we doing this? What are we trying to establish? So for example, this chapter, we are using this as to kind of build our world out a little bit. So, you know, like what are my motivations here? I want to establish that he's lack of wealth because they're going to send troops into these portals to kind of rob and pillage. Understand his motivations so that we can understand him as a character and his relationship to the characters. But some of these things you find, like as you're writing it, they do change as you write. So literally, like I read out the plan earlier to another, you know, earlier, and already there are differences. But hopefully, if you join it, you know, watch, you go, oh, okay, I understand why that's different to what was originally planned. Except I've got typo fingers all the time. I need to change this keyboard because it just, I don't know. I have some keyboards and they literally, as I write, the words fly out. And like on this one, for some reason, I think the keys are a little bit soft, so the letters come out the wrong order. I get that silly comparison, but I'm playing D&D. Yeah, it's exactly the same. So if you're GMing for like D&D, you'll come up with like a scenario, but you've got to be prepared that your characters turn left instead of right. And they do this when you write it, because you might go, actually, that's better for the story. The problem is, I think, with a lot of... Yeah, I had this idea and a little backstory, but along the way I noticed my character is different than I made her at the beginning. Yep, my character's changed as I write. But the thing is, people don't realise that this happens and that's okay, because they only ever see the finished product. Whereas, you know, somebody can like look at this and go, well, actually, that character at the start is a little bit different at the end. So that's kind of the motivation for it, sort of thing. So. But that's good, because literally, like I was saying when I was doing chapter 2, is like I don't know these characters yet. They're really difficult to write. Some of them jump off the page a little bit more. But even then, I probably would go back and change them and just subtly adjust them, because I have a better sense of who they become. So then I want to kind of go back and build their story up. Are we still on Walker? Oh yeah, we're on Pandaria. Yeah, you need to get... So it's the same with D&D. If you like, writing is really D&D for one person. I have typo. It's going around that typo fingers. Yeah, I think it's because the keys are soft. So one of the things that people can fall into, a mistake they can fall into here, is that we are getting into the situation where the character is going to explain the situation to another character. And it's very easy to then do like this info dump of everything that's happened before. Sometimes what's easier to do is so what I'm doing is I'm not just saying Freeman explained everything to him. I'm going to kind of just change it a little bit just to kind of give a little bit of a feeling like it's a different perspective, but not kind of shortcut it a little bit. I want to say the fabric of space and time, but they wouldn't have used that. Yeah, it gives a little teaser into character, yeah. So I have saved myself all this, like, what do you mean a tear in the world? Oh no, this, what, like this? Like, you know, I've done a little bit to kind of show that there's disbelief, but I've not had to try and convince it because I've literally just said he explained it. And then I'll come back in. So I've literally literally, you can imagine, like, this big discussion about, I don't believe you. Well, it's true. Well, come and see. Well, I can't come and see it. It's the middle of the night. Oh, but this, you know. So I've literally shortcut that. So I'm going to convey doubt by doing this tear, you know, having that thing. Now, this may be a bad habit. Now, I'm going to show you something here. That this is a little trick, and this is where the difference between third person and third person limited. So he rummaged in his bag and brought out the same blue pairs Jax had harvested. We know this because we read that previous chapter. However, we are in, that is third person. Now, we're doing third person limited. So we are looking at this from Quentin's point of view. He doesn't know that Jax went through the portal. He doesn't even know that they're there at this time. We're going to introduce that in a second. So brought out. You, as the reader, know about this because you've read the previous chapter. But because we are in limited view, this character does not. So that's the difference between third person, limited. Now, little thing is the food is going to cause problems for our main characters, but not these characters. All those. Basically, you're forcing the readers to think, oh, those pears. Yeah. I keep hearing this music. Now, which one is this from? Is this Legion? No, this is the music is Sylvanas versus the Lich King. God, that was a great cinematic. Maybe not 5. Maybe you have 2. Just think strategically. You've only got 30 men. This is my big problem, by the way, music-wise. We're talking about concern about music. This is my biggest problem with Shadowlands, World of Warcraft Shadowlands, is that every other expansion has had, it has a range of music. It has combat music. So when you fight, there's music that's a little bit upbeat, and in Shadowlands, everything is like, oh, you're dead. Oh, how a shame. And there's no upbeat fighting music. And I absolutely bugs the hell out of me. I love this music because it's really ominous and it really does feel like, I'd use this to write like 2 characters going up against each other. It feels really epic. But the rest of the soundtrack is just like, it's great for what it is, but yeah, normally, he says, normally I love the music, but Shadowlands, meh. Yeah, I agree. Just because there's nothing, there's no. This bit's great. So pensive, something's going to happen. And you think, well, if they can produce this, which is some of the finest music Warcraft's ever done, why couldn't they have made an upbeat fight track? Right, let's try and get this. What resources from this could solve are rationing. This could save our. We write early. What's the phraseology? Original soundtrack is this? Yeah. I love that first cinematic. Oh no, I've done that the wrong way round. Not MacArthur, it's Freeman. This music takes me back to when I was an inexperienced night elf rogue. So, undead warlock. Still got them. Undead warlock was my first. Then a couple of years later, I did a dwarf hunter, who I race changed to a goblin at some point. Then I did night elf priest. Never again. Still got them. They're level 60, 70. And then my Tauren Death Knight, which was kind of my main. Yeah. I hope they do some. I know it sounds terrible, but I hope they do some server merges, because that's the biggest problem I have with my all my horde characters on one server. That's kind of low pop, and I daren't move them because I'll lose their names, and I'm not going to lose their names. So I kind of do hope that they do merge some servers, and then I've got a few alliance characters, but. Palette is like that, or was that palette as in? Yeah, that's why I never moved. Like literally, when Nem and Raz and WAP and all that, when we decided we were going to move servers, I was like creating a brand new character. I created a Worgen Death Knight and leveled them up because I was like, I'm not moving across. I'm not race changing because their name wouldn't work as a alliance. And then when Nem was saying that you guys were raiding, I was like, right, I'm creating a brand new character. I always had a few of the same names, but they're always the same sort of class as well throughout different games. No, I tend to vary mine, I think, sometimes. It's weird, all my Warcraft characters have, like, unique characters, even though, like, literally... I'm, like, writing fan fiction for them in their head. That's the one thing I want Blizzard to do, is I want them to do a mission where the NPCs are your alts. That would just be the most epic thing ever. Like, even if it was just like alts you've got on this server, on the same server, but at least you do a quest and like the people who come along, instead of it being Thrall and Jaina, it's your alts. If they did that, I would lose my shit. Whichever. It almost feels like it. Oh, one of the things I like about FF is the way they weave your character into the storyline, which I think lacks a bit in WoW. It almost feels like a single player game where your character is friends with the people around you and the big heroes of the game. Is that within Final Fantasy or within Warcraft? Because I often feel like my one joke is like Jaina always goes, "Oh, champion," and I'm like, "Fucking hell, Jaina! The amount of times I've saved your ass, you know, I think you could have learnt my name by now." Yeah, that's what I hate in WoW. You're always more Walker, champion of the blade. Yeah, yeah. But the main characters like Jaina are like stale, as in they don't know you. Yeah, yeah. Whereas in Final Fantasy, one of the main characters the other day was like, you know that after this is all over, let's go have ice cream in City. That's cool. pronounce. Remember how I spell her name? Nope, not there. Marley. Marley. Quentin silently cursed. Why was it every time there was trouble or other, Marley and her little gang were right in the centre? Should have hung. Gallows. I'm looking something up. It's Gallows. Oh no, that's Noose. No, I didn't. Spelled jail the wrong way then. No, not gold. Okay, so what we are going to do is what I've done there a little bit is we set up the, like, I've tried to leave the fact that Marley and the rest of our heroes were there to the end. And the reason I did that was so that I can leave this, the end of this chapter is then bring them all in. So let's read over this aloud and just correct any mistakes and see if we can see anything. I think that's the chapter. Because we leave it with that he's basically said stealing is that he is not going to put up with this anymore. This is the time. He's going to hang them all. He said bring them all here. So there's a bit of threat. There's a stuff to carry us forward. So this is chapter 3 by the sounds of it. Led Quentin sighed. Is this all really necessary? He asked MacArthur. The actuary bowed low, still offering the book. I merely wish my lad to know the risks and hardships we face in the months ahead. Quentin sat on the uncomfortable seat at the top of his audience room. We maybe need to refer back to that. His grandfather had commissioned it when they'd remodelled the estate, giving it the air to anyone visiting of approaching a king on their throne. It was raised, sat on a platform at one end of the great hall under the huge stained glass window. The chair itself had been made by some of the finest craftsmen in the Clanlands. The handles were a couple of snakes intertwined, and the tall back rose to depict a bear on its hind legs. The legs were cut. I've got two legs. I don't need to say beg on its hind legs. I'm making a change here, and it's altering the description, but it's just making the language here. It's to depict a bear. However the reader interprets that, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. I kind of imagine something like this, kind of like at the back. Your head's there, and then the top of the chair's like. But it doesn't matter if it's just like, you know, little bear paddling along on the top. The legs were carved to resemble tree roots. That gets us away from having two lots of legs in sentences next to each other. Many had called it one of the finest examples of craftsmanship this side of the three seas. Those people obviously didn't have to sit on it. I want to link that back in at the end. Quentin swore that his grandfather must have been numb below the waist, because anyone who sat on it for more than 10 minutes was unable to feel their own arse. He sat, one leg cocked over one of the arms, wishing for MacArthur to just hurry up so he could get to bed ahead of the weekly grouse hunt tomorrow. I want solutions, not problems, MacArthur, he said, playing with the braid of his beard. It's quite simple, my lad, MacArthur said. We either buy food or we eat less this winter. The summer had been unusually wet, and the yield of crops the worst in living memory. Buy? Quentin scoffed. As if you can find any lad round here with food to spare. They have had better yields in the south, but the demand means the prices are high. Quentin did not have money to spare. As the estates went, he was one of the poorest. He had a bloody great mountain range through the centre of the estate, and the land the other side was practically unfarmable. He had been content to leave it to the poachers and reprobates he'd expelled from the estate, but that might have to change. Increase the patrols, he said absently, thinking how he was going to catch himself a fine grouse tomorrow. Hang any poachers. Very good. And the existing food supplies? This whole thing about hanging the approaches, is this a repeat of the idea later on? We'll see. Very good. And the existing food supplies? Start rationing, he said with a sigh. The serfs wouldn't like it, but they were free to leave if they wanted. He doubted they'd find any estate within 100 miles that would be any different. No additional labour also, he said. Unless we receive a sudden windfall, get the skilled to take apprentices from the existing ranks. Very good, said MacArthur. And one last thing. The soldiers. What does Freeman want now? Last month he wanted horses. Last year, MacArthur corrected. He asked the summer before last. Whatever. What does he want now? A number of swords have broken in training. Our blacksmith lacks the iron with which to fashion replacements. Don't they use pikes and bows? Why does everyone need a sword these days? They were interrupted by the far doors opening and a man dressed in chairmail striding into the hall. Does anyone bloody knock these days? Ah, Freeman, Quentin called out. Tell me why you need swords when you have pikes and bows. Can't use either of those in close range combat, the man replied without stopping to think. Quentin looked at MacArthur. Authorised the purchase of iron, then he sighed, defeated. You might want to double that order. You might want to double the order, Freeman said, joining MacArthur at the base of the dais. Freeman was a second-generation head of the Quentin's personal guard, not quite large enough to be an army, not small enough to be a squad. 30 men might seem excessive when no lairds of the Clanlands had attacked each other in over 30 years, but you never knew when the uneasy peace might break, especially after a bad summer. He was a similar age to Quentin, but unlike him had cropped his grey beard and hair close to his head. Less for an enemy to tug on, he said when Quentin asked him one time. Quentin noticed he was wearing a bulging satchel, out of which he pulled a glowing blue orb. MacArthur took several steps back, and even Quentin sat up straight in his chair. What? Quentin asked, pointing at the orb as if it wasn't obvious. Is that? Freeman shrugged. We think it's the source of that strange light we saw over the top of the mountains this evening. That? Exclaimed Quentin. But it's so small. Nearly everyone in the estate had seen the light emanating from the other side of the mountain. It had turned dusk into the height of summer for a good 5 minutes. Some had come rushing to Quentin, claiming the mountain was on fire, but it looked like no fire he had ever seen. They'd been red and lasted for days, filling the air with smoke. This has been blue, like lightning striking. There's more, said Freeman, but I'm not sure how to explain it so you'll believe me. Try me, Quentin said dryly. There's a hole. In the mountain? Asked MacArthur. The world, replied Freeman. Freeman explained how he and his troops had set out to find the source of the light, only to find the orb and the tear in reality. Third person thing. I'm going to say a tear in reality. If we say the, it's because we are in limited viewpoint. So I can kind of get away with it from changing the to a. Are you saying there was an entirely other world through this tear? Freeman nodded. I sent 3 men in and they brought back this. Back these. He rummaged in his bag and brought out 3 strange blue fruit. Is that edible? MacArthur asked. 2 of my men have tried them and they haven't died yet. Quentin wasn't sure whether Freeman should be risking his troops like, but then he said there is plentiful supply? Yes, replied Freeman. We haven't fully explored. But oh, look at this as we're gonna. I haven't finished that sentence. Yes, replied he. We haven't fully explored, but. So this explains why they haven't found the other portals, because they didn't. Yes, replied Freeman. We haven't fully explored, but you could have filled our storehouse with the amount we saw. This could give us food through. This could give us food through the winter. My lad, MacArthur protested. We know nothing of this world and this fruit. It might not agree with the palate. Agreed, Freeman. Freeman, bring these men who've ingested these fruits. MacArthur, bring the estate physician so he can monitor them. Led Quentin sat back in his chair. He wasn't sure what had caused this tear that Freeman had referred to. Did this orb create it? What was behind? Because I don't want caused. Led Quentin sat back in his chair. He wasn't sure what had caused this tear that Freeman had referred to. Did this orb create it? That's fine. It's not the same one. Or did it fall from it? Whichever. He'd be a fool to not. He'd be a fool not to. Not to take advantage of this situation. If the fruit was abundant as they said, was as abundant, and there was no complications with eating it, then it could not only feed the entire estate through the difficult winter, but he could sell surplus to other lairds. He rubbed his hands, thinking of the money he could make out from this. There's one other thing, my lad said, nervously. We were not the first to enter this new world. We apprehended a group coming out of it as we arrived. Quentin cocked his head to one side as Freeman swallowed hard. It was your daughter and her friends, he said. Quentin silently cursed. Why was it every time there was some trouble or other, Marley and her little gang were right in the centre? He should have hung her accomplices when he had the chance. All beggars, thieves, beggars and poachers, the lot of them. Where is she? He seethed. In the gallows. Not gallows, gale. Excuse me. They were all carrying vast amounts of the fruit, stealing from him yet again. Why did they not piss off and bother some other land? He was been lenient with them before, whipping them as was the custom with poachers. Not this time, he vowed. He'd hang a lot of them. So I'm going to add something in here, trying to link it back to the beginning. Okay, just to link it back, and I hadn't planned this, but I thought this kind of worked. He shifted uneasy in the chair. His buttocks now suitably numb. It seemed the seat wasn't the only pain in his arse. Bring her to me, he said. Bring them all. So I think that will do. So 1,300 words. That is our chapter. It's not chapter 3, it's chapter 4. There we go. Chapter 4. So, with that, I am going to end the stream. So, I'm going to go to my ending screen. So, we've got chapter 4 done. That will be up on the website tomorrow. You'll be able to read it there along with all the previous chapters. Tomorrow, we are going... Oh, not tomorrow, because tomorrow's the weekend. I'll be back on Monday. Monday, 3 p.m. We will be going over a scene with our heroes imprisoned. So we may start developing their powers. I may wait a little bit longer. The idea I've got in the back of my head is that the guards... Because the guards have eaten it. Our heroes have as well. They've both eaten the fruit. I want the guards to... Is it on your website? Yes. www.adrianfaulkner.com. Should be able to see the first draft. If you go into any episode, or if you go into the latest episode, it will have links to the previous one. I need to maybe do some links so you can get to the next one. That's a good plan. I need to do that. But you should be able to find them fairly easily because there's also all the previous... There is the story. There is a replay of the live stream. There's a little bit of analysis. There's also was a pre-season of 3 episodes where we went through and created the plot, the characters, and the world. So we've got that as well. So this will be added up there. Chapter 4. It will be up there probably tomorrow. The live stream will probably be on. This will probably be on YouTube either today or first thing tomorrow. So you can catch up on the story, and I will do some things over the weekend on the website to make sure that you can start on episode 1 and read forward. So with that, I am going to say good evening to everybody. I hope you have a lovely weekend. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to play some Fortnite, try and get my battle pass done. I need to do some Warcraft, check my mail, and I might build some stuff in Minecraft as well. And I've also got to prep some videos for next week, or prep a video for next week. But we will be back on Monday at 3 o'clock for chapter 5. I will do my best, Ergie. Thank you very much. I'm up to level... I started at level 25 yesterday. I've got up to level 47. I'm run out of boosted XP. I'm now worried about trying to get the rest of the levels. So cool. Have a great night, everybody. And I will see you on Monday, 3 p.m. UK time. Take care. Have a great night, weekend and night.